Hey guys, this is Nick from Financially Aware, and I want to just start this video by saying thank you for getting me past 1,000 subscribers. I'm even actually past 2,000 subscribers now, so thank you very much. I appreciate all the people that liked and subscribed and commented on my videos. In this video, I want to talk about what's holding people back from becoming financially independent or even rich. Not everybody's going to become rich, but a lot of people can become financially independent, but we do a lot of things to sabotage ourselves before we get to that level to try to look rich. And so if you change your mindset and if you really think about what a rich person can buy with their money, a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, it's not that much different than what the average person in a Western country can buy. And so I'm going to explain that in this video. Most people who try to look rich are really hurting their chances of actually becoming rich because of that. Because they're taking on debt and credit card debt and piling on all kinds of expenses to their lifestyle that they can't afford, so that they are stealing from their future by doing this. And they're most likely will never become rich because they have that mentality that they're just working a little bit to buy the latest little gadget or fancy item or luxury good that somebody's promoting on Instagram or something like that, just to kind of feed their ego in the hopes that, you know, the marketing works, that the advertisers tell you that if you buy this item or this luxury good, you're going to be more attractive to the opposite sex, or you're going to be the envy of your friends or your co-workers or something like that, or you're going to be seen as successful or smart, when if you're spending all your money to buy this stuff and you can't afford it, and you're making the minimum payment on your credit card just to buy this stuff, you're the opposite of successful. And so it's kind of funny that you're sabotaging yourself to make yourself look rich to other people. By buying things that you can't afford yet, it's almost like that 5-year-old kid that wants to hang out with his 10-year-old brother and his other brother's 10-year-old friends. You're not at that level yet. So if you're making $50,000 a year, don't try to buy a $100,000 car, you know, because it's just going to end in misery, more and more misery, and you're just going to be running on that hamster wheel trying to keep your head above water. That's not the way to become financially independent or rich. And another thing is, if you're always preoccupied with what the latest celebrity is wearing, what the latest fashion good is, and you're online looking for a deal for it or whatever, you're spending your time, effort, and energy into doing something to try to look rich, instead of spending your time, effort, and energy into actually doing things that can make you rich or financially independent, like studying for a good career, or buying real estate, or buying stocks, or starting a business. Any one of those is way better than spending your time and your headspace about the luxury goods you're going to buy to try to make people think you're rich. If you think about it, the average person today is living a much better lifestyle than a rich person was 100 years ago. Even kings of countries did not have heat and air conditioning, indoor plumbing, an oven, a refrigerator, a car, or any of that stuff. But the average person today can afford all of those things. And so a rich person of today is not like head and shoulders above an average person. They're actually at the same level of what their lifestyle could afford. The rich person just has more of it, a fancier version of it. They don't have anything different than what's available to the average person today. So let's look at those things and compare them. A rich person could buy a big house, right? Yeah, okay. But an average person can also buy a house, and you can only sleep in one room at a time, in one bed at a time. So you see these people that the richer they get, the bigger the house they buy. And you see these things like, oh, this house has 10 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms and all this stuff. You know, it's the bigger it gets, the more upkeep it has. So you have to hire more people to do the gardening, do the pool, to clean the house, to cook for you, to do all this stuff. And then you probably have to hire a manager to manage all those people, to see that they're not stealing, to see that they're doing their job. So the bigger your house gets, the more headaches you're actually getting from it. And you're not getting a better night's sleep than the guy with a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, 1,100 square feet. Okay, your bed is not, 5 times better than his bed or anything like that. It's probably very similar. So there is no big gain by having a bigger house. You're still living in a air-conditioned and heated house. You have a kitchen, you have a bathroom, you have a bedroom. There's nothing more spectacular about it. Like you don't sleep in some magical bed that gives you 5 times the amount of energy or something like that just because you live in a nice house. As a side note, I don't know if you know this, but Aaron Spelling, he was a big producer, a TV producer. He did Dynasty, I think, and Fantasy Island and all these things. He's a really rich producer. His daughter, Tori Spelling, was on Beverly Hills 90210. He had the biggest house in LA or the country or something. It was definitely the most expensive house in the country. I think it went on sale a few years ago for like $150 million. He died some years back, but it was 56,000 square feet. Okay, what do you do with that house? How many people do you need to maintain it, to clean it, to trim the garden, to do all kinds of stuff in that house? How many different air conditioners and heating units did you have to have and all that stuff? It's crazy. And it's all about ego, really. He doesn't need that many bedrooms and square footage, but he just wanted to have the biggest house. So he's the most known, the most famous, whatever, as the richest. But he's dead now, right? And I just did a Google search to look up that house to see some stats on it. And just like how Google has a, auto suggest, I typed in Aaron as the first word. And he wasn't the first person to come up, the second, third, fourth, fifth. He wasn't even in the list. The first person, I don't even know who it was, some football player. But the second person was Aaron Carter, who is the little brother of Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys. He's the guy with all the tattoos on his face and stuff and all kinds of problems. So, I mean, think about how ridiculous this is. This guy, Aaron Spelling, was a huge movie, TV producer, super rich guy, and he's dead now. And Aaron Carter ranks higher than him on Google. So not only did everybody forget about him, but he doesn't even rank on Google anymore. So that's how much your money matters after you're dead. Nobody really cares how big your house was, I'll tell you that. So another thing that rich people can buy is a really expensive car, right? And, what can a expensive car do for you? Nothing. Even if you buy the fastest car in the world, you're still limited by the speed limit on the roads that you're driving on, that a guy with a Honda Civic could also reach those same speed limits, the same way. So there is nothing different that a car that a rich person buys is any different than what an average person buys. It gets you to your location in the same time. It has the same size seat. It has heat, air conditioning, a steering wheel, a radio, whatever. It doesn't do anything different. And a lot of rich people buy all these cars and really never drive them. They just kind of, buy them to drive them once or twice and leave them in their garage just to show that they have them or whatever. Another thing is that a lot of really rich people, you don't really see them because they're kind of under the radar. So there's plenty of rich people that are driving around in, 10-year-old Camrys or 10-year-old pickup trucks. Sam Walton used to drive a really old pickup truck, the founder of Walmart, one of the richest men in the world. Jeff Bezos, I remember seeing an article, interview about him in the late 90s. But by this point, he was already, had a few hundred million or maybe $1 billion by this time. And in the interview, he was in his office, and the office was an old wooden door on like 2 supports. That was his desk, an old wooden door. And the interviewer was kind of, ribbing him that he drove like an old Honda Accord. And he's like, hey, it's a perfectly good car, And he could have afforded something better now, then. And even now, yeah, he's spending some of that money and stuff. But the point is, you can go buy a Lamborghini if it's, if the cost to you of a Lamborghini is the cost of an average person of buying a slice of pizza or a cup of Starbucks, that's fine, because it's not going to put you in distress. But if you're stretching your finances and taking on all kinds of debt just to try to look like you have some money, that's where you run into problems. How about with planes? Okay, a billionaire could buy a private plane, and what does that get him? It doesn't get him there any faster, because a private plane flies as fast as a commercial jet. The maximum speed is the same. Yeah, he may skip TSA lines or something like that. He may have more room in the jet, his own couch or something like that, but it doesn't get him there faster. So no matter how much money you have, you don't have that kind of thing on Star Trek or whatever where you walk through a door in New York and 2 seconds later you walk out of a door in LA. No, that doesn't happen. So no matter how much money you have, you still have to get in a plane and sit on a plane for 6 hours to go from New York to LA. So there's no benefit, above and beyond what the average person could afford buying a coach ticket on a plane. Even the people in first class who are paying 3 to 10 times more for their ticket than the people in coach, what do they get? A wider seat, a little bit better airline food, if that's a thing. So again, having more money doesn't get you something that an average person cannot get. It just gets you more of it, a bigger one, a fancier one, a more luxurious one, or whatever. But the basic stuff is still the same. Another one is jewelry. There's a joke, why do men wear $100,000 watches? It's because they can't bring their yacht into a bar to impress some girl. So again, jewelry is something that is completely unnecessary for anybody's lifestyle at all, okay? And a $30 digital watch actually keeps better time than any Rolex, any hand movement Rolex or whatever, mechanical Rolex. So all of that stuff is all just ego driven to show people how wealthy you are. And like I said, a lot of really wealthy people don't want people to know they're wealthy. They tone it down. They wear a regular watch, regular clothes, regular car, and they just have a big bank account and investments and have the freedom to do whatever they want. And that's the real benefit of being rich or independently wealthy or financially independent. And how about food? Most people, when they think of rich people, they think rich people are sitting all day and, drinking champagne and eating caviar and lobster tail and caviar and Kobe beef and all this stuff. The reality is that most rich people don't eat like that. And the reason is because everybody dies and rich people don't want to die. And so if they want to live, they're most likely eating things like oatmeal and fruits and vegetables and maybe some lean meats and things like that. So it's no different than the average person. The average person can afford, to eat so much that they eat themselves to death. They get so fat and they'll die of diabetes or whatever. So anybody could afford as much food as they want, but doing that, you will shorten your life. And rich people, if there's one thing that they put a value on, is usually being more healthy so that they can live long enough to enjoy all this, what this money brings them. So you see, having a lot of money doesn't buy you something that can't be bought by an average person these days. And so I'm not trying to, I don't know, maybe it sounds like sour grapes because I'm not a billionaire. I'm sitting here in a condo with a bare white wall behind me without a Picasso or something like that. So maybe you might think it's sour grapes or whatever, but it's your mentality. It's how you think of things. So if I was a billionaire, there's no way I would buy a gold encrusted Rolex for $100,000 or anything like that, or a Lamborghini with Swarovski crystals, or some house with 30 rooms and 30 bathrooms and all that stuff, because to me that's just more, that's going to take up more of your time and energy thinking about this stuff and worrying about it and insuring it and all this crazy stuff, and stop you from doing the things you really want to do. So I think having money is great, and trying to become rich is also great, but don't try to fake it before you make it. I know that's a term, but that really doesn't work. Most people who fake it before they make it just end up not making it and just keep faking it and running on that treadmill forever. And that's not something you want to do, because you only have a finite amount of time in your life. So if you spend every waking hour trying to make money, yeah, you're going to make the most money you possibly can, but you're not going to have a life. And if you spend all your time spending as much money, more than you actually have, you're going to spend your time working to not make yourself rich, but to make the banks, the credit card companies, and the luxury good makers rich. So yeah, somebody will get rich. It just won't be you. It will be Kim Kardashian selling some $300 pair of jeans or some jewelry or whatever, some iPhone or something like that. So don't fall into that trap. And if you have the mindset that 80% is good enough, if you have a car that's 80% as good as a Mercedes, a Honda Accord or something like that, and it's half the price, and the difference you can invest that in real estate or stocks or bonds or getting an education or something like that, you will be ahead of the game. And if you keep up those habits and keep investing in yourself and other investments that make money, not cost you money, you will become financially independent. And if you want it hard enough and start a business or something, you will become rich yourself for real. So that's why you shouldn't try to pretend to act rich, because it actually hurts you in the long run and in the short run. And it changes your whole mentality and changes your focus away from the things you should be focusing on, what really matter in your life. So that's my video on the things that billionaires can and can't buy that are any different than the average person. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching.